I'm Jason Kelly here at the Summit for Local Leaders, talking about climate with Deborah Lehr, Senior Fellow at the Paulson Institute. Lovely to see you.
Oh, great, it's a pleasure to be
How
here.
has it been today? You convened a really impressive group of Chinese mayors to talk about what's going on there. Give us the top line. What were you guys talking about?
Actually, we had a great group of Chinese mayors coming from both major cities and small towns. And the major top line is action. They are determined that they are going to be one of the leading countries in the fight against climate change, and that it's not just about talk, it's about action. And so the mayors today shared with us in very specific detail a lot of the plans that they intend to implement.
Well, and you talk about specific actions, and you guys are all over this from some very, interesting ways and angles. And it does seem like you are really kind of focusing in some ways on the mayors as prime actors in this. Why is that?
We believe very strongly, like the theme of this summit, that mayors are on the front line. And they have tremendous ability to both help drive policy and drive policy change, but they're on the front lines for implementing that policy. And so whether it's approval of buildings or where a road is going to be or how they're developing a public-private partnership for funding these projects, the mayors are the ones with the responsibility to really make this happen.
And what do you see as when you hear from mayors, what is their biggest challenge when it comes to climate? I mean, is it transportation? Is it public space? Like where are they feeling the most pain, I guess?
Well, I think it's a couple of different things. One is, how do they get people to change their behavior? How do you get them, for example, to start recycling? You can demand it as a policy, but it's very hard to get behavior to change. And another one of the key challenges is awareness. And the mayors themselves are responsible for so many things. How do you build awareness? And this is one thing that the Paulson Institute focuses on, is training mayors in sustainability so they know the latest practices. And the third challenge that they have is financing. How can they afford to pay for these things, even if they're aware, even if they have the political will, they may not have the money.
And to that point, to the financing point, you have a green building fund?
Yes.
I understand that you raised. Tell us about that.
In the lead up to President Xi's visit, the Paulson Institute, along with the Chinese government, announced the creation of a green buildings fund. And the idea is to bring the best of American technology to play in China in helping reduce carbon in buildings, because carbon accounts for about 40% of global greenhouse emissions, and China is going to be, for the foreseeable future, the world's construction company. So if we can get the buildings in China right, we can have a significant impact on climate change. And so our goal is to help finance that.
We talked a lot about mayors. We're obviously talking a lot about mayors today at this summit, but key actors also in this are corporate leaders and specifically CEOs. You guys have done some work, again, sort of bridging the U.S. or global businesses and Chinese businesses. Talk about the CEO's role in sort of pulling all this together.
Well, clearly, Mr. Paulson, who's our chairman, has a background as a great entrepreneur and as a leader of Goldman Sachs.
And something of a Rolodex.
Yes, exactly. And we have a terrific group of U.S. and Chinese companies. I mean, well-known names, everything from an Alibaba to China State Construction, which is the largest construction company in the world, to Dow and Honeywell, Apple, Walmart, and others who are significant players when it comes to sustainability. And we thought if we could bring them together to develop innovative ideas as a team and look at joint projects, that the business community could play a really important role, both in terms of action, but in terms of policy recommendations and changes that we were looking to bring about in China.
So instead of going back to Washington, you told me you're going on to China from
Yes.
here. What's the sort of biggest learning, I guess, that you'll take on this mission, as it were, from this summit today, either from your interaction with the Chinese mayors or from the broader gathering here?
Well, one of the mayors that we're working very closely with in development of our green fund is actually here. It's a female mayor, the only one who is speaking today, the mayor of Zhenjiang in Jiangsu province. And she is testing out some very innovative ideas to look at climate change holistically, what it means both in terms of policy change, economic growth, development of sustainable practices, and also healthcare, because ultimately it's about, as she sees it, the citizens in her city. And so that really is the part of the message that we're taking when we go back to China is how can we as the Paulson Institute help create some of the resources to help these mayors succeed.
Great. Deborah Lehr, Senior Fellow, Paulson Institute, thank you so much for being with us. Thanks for all your work today. Good luck on your trip.
Thank you.
See you again.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm Jason Kelly here at the Google Hangout with Deborah Lehr. Thanks for joining us.
Right.